All right, everybody. Are you tired of me talking? Oh, okay. Well, you need to be now, because we have someone very exciting behind the tent here. You know him from over 70+ films, TV shows. He is an accomplished composer, a musician. So many things that we are excited to talk to him about. Please give it up for Dermot Mulroney.
Gosh, there's so many of you. Thank you. How's it going today? They brought me in the back door like a rock star.
Dermot, we've been giving puns to each other this whole time. Do you know any good puns?
No. I promised myself a long time ago that I don't know, I come from a long line of storytellers, maybe, if you think of it, Irish heritage and oral histories and so forth, but not a long line of joke tellers. So I'd rather just make up a long story and everybody will laugh, or have somebody write it down for me and I'll say it just like they said. So if somebody wrote down a pun, I could so nail it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is this
So
your first time
no,
at FanX?
sorry about your pun theme.
There's an attempt. First time at FanX.
First time at FanX, yeah. First time really in downtown Salt Lake City, United States. So thanks for having me.
Have you enjoyed it so far, people at the con?
Amazing the way they're running it seems so well organized. So that's a plus. You all seem to find your way here to this mysteriously numbered room. So that's a plus.
It's like a Harry Potter train station, right?
It is somewhat. It should have a 3/4 on the number. But I got to tell you, backstage, the food's really good. They have it laid out pretty nice, you know. But then you look over and there's literally Tony Danza sitting and talking to Christopher Lloyd. So you think, well, they should have really good food for these guys, right? And then I just reap the benefits of, thinking that they're awesome. But I will tell you this morning. Literally, it was just one of those. I've seen a lot of other friends and stuff, but to see those two made me realize that I appeared with the two of them in a film. I was in a movie that I can't say the title of, but it rhymes with "Bangels in the Outfield." For a movie company called Disney.
No idea what you're talking about.
Exactly, I know. But believe it or not, I had like 2 days on that movie and never thought about it again. And it kind of went away, except in the hearts of the young kids that watched it in those years. Because I played that bad dad, that smoking motorcycle dad that says, nah, kid, I can't. You'll be better off without me. So if any of you young men are sitting there now and you're 42, I so get you. And I didn't understand how powerful film could be if I go in just for 2 little scenes where, who's the kid? It's Joseph Levitt, who's a major movie star since he was 12 in that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So, whatever you said, I agree with 100%. And I think she said something about watching it, so watch it. But I went up and I was able to say to Tony Danza and Christopher Lloyd, you guys might not believe it, sorry Tony, I know you're chewing, but I was in a movie with you, and they're like, that was about it. Tony gave a little more than Chris, but probably for obvious reasons.
I feel like it would make, to me, if I were with such a resume like yours, you can go through IMDb, and I'm pretty sure every single person here has something unique that's their favorite that you've done. What is the secret to longevity in this industry?
Well, partially maybe that's what I'm describing, that things last longer than I anticipated. So there's a lot of things you can't anticipate how the movie's going to do. Of course, things are so different now, but I'm still thinking in terms of box office, how many people go to see it. They have to leave their house and go see it that way. There was no way to predict something like Angels in the Outfield. It almost had no meaning to me, except it was a good job, and they put me in Tony Danza's trailer, which was really huge. It's about 1990, right? 89. So it's even only now, coming on 40 years of doing this, that it's taken that long for the impact that it has had on people to mature and to come. to the surface again. So anyway, it's very complicated because a lot of these projects went away, and so the only place they lived was in the heart of that boy that saw Young Guns at 14, and all their friends went out and got Big League chewing gum and put it in their mouth to act like they were chewing. They got dusters and stuff. Right? Saddle up and ride. That's right. Love it. So that stuff I didn't know then was going to last this long, where whole families would know, did you see the size of that chicken? Decades later. So I'm not sure I'm asking your question, but each of those jobs that I now know have landed with somebody, somewhere. Today, 2 people brought up Bad Girls, which is such a nightmare of a movie, mismade and mishandled, and everybody was not even treated that well. And yet there are people out there who that movie has a great meaning to, because they're seeing women ride, they're seeing women wind up all still friends at the end, and nobody got killed. I mean, there's only one rape. See what I mean? That was a different time where that would be like, that'd be a victory. They were friends, and only Drew Barrymore, the 18-year-old, was the only one that got raped. So wrong. But anyway, 3 people came up to me today and talked to me about how meaningful that movie, even that movie, was to them. So I can't calculate it. And to come here and to be face to face with people in a way that I rarely encounter it. And I've only started doing this recently. This is coming to light to me now. I'm learning this, how deep the currents run. From film, from how films, especially films you saw in a theater or played on your video cassette over and over. Those are so deep in each individual's memory, their attachment with a family. It's incredible. So I have all of you to thank for what I'm experiencing here and after this many years. So thanks.
Thank you. Every role I feel like I've said this with every movie that you've been in. Even if the movie, box office-wise, doesn't end up doing the performance, it's like, well, Dermot was great. You're the one that always shines above in all of these. So thank you. I loved you in New Girl, or the show about the girl and stuff.
Yes.
That was new. But I want to talk about a couple. Just this year, actually, there was a certain superhero series that came out where you play a certain
executive
person,
and the executive branch of the U.S. government.
Make some decisions towards the end. I am fascinated with what you felt going into such a big project like that versus maybe doing some more independent things. Is it really just the catering that's the difference, or is there something more?
No, really good question. I think they could have made that unnamed series that just came out on the Disney streaming service They could have made that for half as much money, in my opinion. But instead, Marvel's mandate right now is to make these shows. There may be 6 episodes, but let's go ahead and spend $15 million per episode. Right? When it's a car wreck and an alien invasion attack on the United States, they could have done it smaller and saved millions of dollars. But that's not what they're doing. So they're taking all the equipment you can think of, all the time, the setup. In fact, I'm talking about that scene where the executive of the government is in a motorcade that gets attacked. And it's incredible in that episode of this series. But there's definitely a way they could have done that a lot cheaper. I forget what I'm answering though.
We can segue into another franchise that you were recently in about, some murders in New York.
Yeah.
Things are going around. What was it like working with those legacy characters that have been here for so long, and how did you feel you put your stamp on it?
Yeah, the first way this started was when I got the part. I was like, great, that's great. I called my agent. I had mainly one question, which is, do I get to work with David Arquette? And they're like, oh yeah, let me make a call and get back to you. So, you guys know that the call was, okay, I've got some bad news. Oh, no. David Arquette's been killed in Scream 5. So I didn't get to work with my favorite legacy character, Dewey the cop. But then we all know in Scream 6 that we were colleagues, because the character that I played, of course, was a cop in that town that rhymes with Mudsporo. But that I had to transfer the whole family and everybody to the big city. to do the rest of the movie. But yeah, so I thought I'd be in a small town, be a cop. And they told me I was the cop. So I said, good, obviously I get to work with Dewey. So that was disappointing. But, Skeet came in to do that flashback in that sixth movie in that famous horror franchise. And so we buddied up. In fact, it was because of him that he says he does the cons and told me to come. And I'm so glad and grateful to him. Just standing next to Neve Campbell, who I haven't seen in like 20 years. And my God, if you haven't gone and waited in her line, go wait in her line. Because, anyway, super beautiful and kind, and so nice to see her again. But the Scream 6, that core 4, all young actors, are amazing to join already a group that was not only like friends, but like a family. And I'm still on the group text with the guy. They haven't kicked the old guy out of the group text yet, so things are going good.
The day that happens, though, something's up.
Right, then you'll know,
Let's start getting people over for questions. So that mic over there, start lining up. I'm gonna not take up too much more, but I did want to ask about your music abilities and your genius with the cello. You've been accomplished for a very long time, and many people probably do not know how many projects that you have been a part of on the orchestra side of it. So my question first is, who made you keep practicing when you were a kid?
Right.
That got you to where you needed to be, and then what's maybe some of your favorite projects?
I have 14 and 15-year-old right now who don't want to practice their instruments at all. So to get your kid through that phase is super crucial. So we're right there right now with them. But I liked it. I grew up, I started the cello in 7th grade in public school in Virginia, and I just stuck with it because I was good. I was getting a lot of positive feedback in a crowded house, lots of brothers, sports and music and stuff. So I knew that there was an area where I shined, right? So that's why I kept practicing through. I also, by then, I'm competing in solo competitions and stuff, so there's like a little money to compete for and stuff like that. So it's like my own thing. But then that carried through, and because of a movie called...
Guess the movie, everyone.
The Samly Foam. Yeah. Is that right? Phone. Yeah, Samly Phone. That's where the brilliant composer Michael Giacchino and I met up, because Tom Bazooka, the director of that movie, said he plays cello, you should talk. And I said to Michael, well, I should come and play for him. And he said, well, you have to be able to sit down and read sight music right away and play with an orchestra. And I said, I can. So put me in, and he did. And I probably played on more than 20 film scores, so you picture me sitting with 10 other cellists in an orchestra, furiously reading music that I'd never seen before, watching the counter, the conductor, the first cellist to see how he's bowing and playing. And so that's one of the most exciting things in a life full of exciting things that I get to do. Crazy different movies. Coco, Incredibles 2, 3 of the Planet of the Apes, 2 of the Mission Impossibles, John Carter on Mars. If you didn't ever see that movie, don't bother. But if you ever want to hear a brilliant score by Michael Giacchino, it's one of his best in my opinion, just because, so the list goes on and on and on. I even have a chill of gratitude on my arm that skill carried over into my adult life in a way that was never destined to be, but like other forces came to bear. There's one missed thing on my IMDb. It says I'm the solo cellist on Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and I'm not. So that's actually, I'd correct it if I can, because it misplaces me in the rank of cellos. I'm just a section member. But I played for over 2 weeks on that movie, which has an incredible score with John Williams themes in it. That's like a wall-to-wall score from the beginning of a 3-hour movie right to the end. So that was an amazing experience for me too, to play with that orchestra on that film. And then it puts me in the Star Wars universe. Ow.
The space.
I'm not in that one. I'm not in it. That's music. I'm a local AFFM who in Los Angeles are probably bound to strike next year too. The musicians who have it a fuck of a lot worse than the actors do. So, sorry about that.
Musicians should be in the credits at the end.
And that's one of my personal little things. I don't know quite what to do about it, except acknowledge it when it does happen. The Man Named Otto, for some reason I saw it, stayed for the credits. Beautiful movie, Tom Hanks, of course. They credit every single musician. I just got in touch with the director, Will Gluck, who directed a movie for a studio, rhymes with Money. Doesn't rhyme with money. But a rom-com, and in the thing we have a wedding, and in the wedding there's a quartet. So where we were shooting, a string quartet, they were playing practical music. They even like quickly arranged. So anyway, I even just now in post-production remembered to reach out to Will and say, make sure you find those four female musicians who I talked to and I sat and played with. So it was like a whole part of our day that day. And I was just suddenly afraid, that they wouldn't be credited for what they contributed, even though they don't speak. But those are on-camera musicians. What I care about, we've had more than 100 years of crediting everybody except musicians. Now the animators and the compositors and even jobs, I don't even know what they are. There's thousands of them at the end. They still don't write down who played the violin. You want to learn how to tap on a computer and change a color on the corner of your screen? You want to learn how to play violin, and then you want to compare who worked harder? So yes, credit musicians. And tell all your filmmakers, please.
We're going to start over on this side here. Just say your name before you ask a question.